Hey everyone, I'm Mariana, and today I'm going to be showing you my entire Blu-ray collection. You guys have been asking for an updated collection video pretty much since the end of last year, and this is one of my most requested videos. So, since I recently reached 20,000 subscribers, which is crazy to me, I thought I would thank you by fulfilling this very popular request. But before I get into it, I just want to quickly say that I am so incredibly grateful for every single one of you. I cannot believe that there are over 20,000 people who have decided to hit that subscribe button and actually care to watch my videos. That is just absolutely insane to me. When I started this channel, I thought there were going to be maybe 500 people watching me, maybe 1,000. You guys are amazing, and whether you've been here since my very first video, which if you have, can you please let me know in the comments below so I could thank you personally in there, or whether this is the first video that you have actually seen of mine or anything in between. Thank you so much for being here and for caring. I also want to separately say a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. You guys have decided to take that extra step and support my channel on Patreon. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I appreciate that you guys want to help me out. Every little bit helps, and all of this adds up to me being able to upgrade my equipment and make my videos better and spend more time on videos. So thank you to my Patreon supporters, and once again, thank you to every single person who subscribes and watches my videos. You guys are awesome. Okay, so as you may remember from my previous collection video, most of my Blu-rays are in these two drawers over here. I do have some of them separated, which is actually where I'm going to start in a second, but just like before, I don't really buy Blu-rays unless I intend to rewatch those movies and shows more than once. So everything you see here is either a favorite or something that I really enjoy, or things that were gifts. So starting on the shelves, of course, here are 6 seasons of Game of Thrones. You guys know I freaking love Game of Thrones. It's my favorite TV show. I'm going to buy season 7 whenever that comes out. And yeah, this is my little Game of Thrones shelf with Funkos, which I have a lot more Game of Thrones Funkos. They're just in a different place. Next, I have my Blu-ray of The Crow, which is signed by James O'Barr, who wrote the comic book. And I also have the comic book signed behind that. You can't see that. And he also drew on my Funko Pop and signed it in the back. Also on the shelves, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which are some of my favorite films of all time. And those steelbooks just make me happy because I think they're really, really cool looking. Last but not least, separate on the shelves, the Harry Potter film collection. If you're wondering, my favorite one of them is The Prisoner of Azkaban. It's my favorite book in the series, and it's my favorite film in the series, and yeah, Harry Potter, gotta have it. This next section here is where I have separated all of my horror films and thrillers, partly because I needed to make some space in my 2 drawers, but also I just wanted to have a separate horror and thriller shelf for some reason where I could put my Funkos, and all of my thriller and horror books are on top of this shelf, so let's take a look at those. First up, 28 Days Later, Danny Boyle, amazing zombie film. I know some people don't consider this a zombie movie, but it's a zombie movie. My favorite sci-fi horror, Alien and Aliens, and also Prometheus. I know Prometheus is kind of a controversial topic, but I do enjoy Prometheus even though it's definitely not perfect, and I didn't want to keep it separate even though it's not really horror. It goes with the Alien movies, so it's here. Beetlejuice, which I watched for the first time last fall and immediately fell in love, had to get it. Cabin Fever, which is an Eli Roth film. I know not many people love it, but I really enjoy it and I think it's quite hilarious. I tend to classify this as a horror comedy. Now, something that's definitely a horror comedy, The Cabin in the Woods. You guys know it's one of my favorite films of all time, and I need to make a separate video about this at some point. Chronicle, a darker take on superpowers. Love it. Actually saw this one in theaters. Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't think I need to introduce these two. Both solid thrillers, though very, very different from each other. Crimson Peak. I love me some Guillermo del Toro, and I think this is a very underrated film. Not really traditional horror, more like a gothic romance with some horror elements. Gorgeous film. Then I have this awesome steelbook of The Evil Dead with some Ash action in the back. Love the look of this. Got it for like $5 at Target. And I have Evil Dead 2 as well as Evil Dead the remake slash sequel. I don't have Army of Darkness just because people seem to be very split on it and I haven't seen it, so I definitely want to watch it first before I add it to my collection. But these three are definitely staples for a horror fan, I think. David Cronenberg's The Fly, which is an awesome and really gross sci-fi body horror. Frailty, which is a film I haven't heard of until one of my subscribers sent this to me, and thank you so much for doing this because this film is a really cool psychological horror and I think it's very underrated. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a try. Green Room, one of my favorite films of last year, so intense and wonderfully shot, and sadly one of the last films with Anton Yelchin. The Grey, a very underrated thriller with Liam Neeson, definitely a wintry thriller to watch. The Guest, one of my favorite movies to watch around Halloween. It's more of a thriller than a horror film, but it definitely has those Halloween vibes. Season 1 of Hannibal, one of my wonderful subscribers sent this to me because you guys know me so well. I love Hannibal and I've been meaning to start getting that show on Blu-ray, so now I have season 1, which is awesome. It Follows, one of the most talked about independent horror films of recent years, I believe. I have to make a video about this at some point too. Amazing soundtrack, so creepy. Let the Right One In, the original, not the remake. As the Blu-ray says, best vampire movie ever. That's just the truth. Nightcrawler. Can't go wrong with creepy Jake Gyllenhaal, right? No Country for Old Men. Still haven't seen this. Sorry. I really want to read the book first and I'm going to read it this year and then watch this movie. But yeah, can't go wrong with the Coen brothers. So this was a blind buy for me. The Omen collection. This was sent to me by one of you guys once again because you don't ever want me to sleep again. And I have mentioned that the first Omen just terrifies me so much. I watched it way too young and it just scarred me for life apparently. Pan's Labyrinth in this very creepy steelbook, one of my favorite films of all time. I love me some Del Toro, and look at this little fawn on the back too. Psycho, gotta have the Hitchcock classic. Also, I could not walk past this steelbook in Target and it was only like $7. Reanimator, as you can tell, I still have not watched this because it's still not even opened. This was sent to me in one of the horror packs and I've been meaning to watch it, but I just haven't gotten the chance yet, but I'm definitely gonna watch it around Halloween this year. I promise. The Ring, this is the American remake. I still haven't seen the original for some reason. I need to get on that, but yeah, I love this movie. I love this steelbook, and look at little Samara on the back here. Awesome. Scream, just the best slasher ever made because Wes Craven is a genius. Seven, my favorite David Fincher film. So messed up, so creepy, love it. The Shining, of course, where would I be without The Shining? One of my favorite films of all time as well. Sicario, this obviously is not a horror film, but it is a very intense thriller, and thank you so much to Spider Geek for sending this steelbook to me because I freaking love the way it looks. The Silence of the Lambs, of course, I had to have this one in my collection, especially since I have Hannibal. Another classic, The Thing, and this one actually has the prequel slash remake in there as well, and thank you so much to Scott for sending this to me. I think he was just sick of me saying that I still haven't seen The Thing, so I finally watched it recently, and obviously the John Carpenter film is fantastic. Train to Busan, a South Korean zombie action thriller. So good. If you haven't seen it, you're definitely missing out because it's easily one of the best zombie films out there. And another fantastic South Korean horror film from last year, The Wailing. This one is obviously very different from Train to Busan. I do have a review of both of these, but yeah, this is creepy and twisted and beautifully shot. Just a high quality horror film in every way. Warm Bodies. This is a zombie romance movie. It's pretty light. It's not scary at all, but it is pretty cute and it's better than it looks, to be honest. The Witch. You guys know this was in my top 3 films last year because I am obviously down to live deliciously. The Cornetto trilogy from Edgar Wright, for some reason in backwards order, starting with The World's End. I don't know why, but yeah, The World's End, Hot Fuzz, and Shaun of the Dead, all amazing comedies. And last but not least on this shelf, Zombieland. And finally, getting back to those 2 main drawers, the first movie I have here is 10 Things I Hate About You, of course. If you were a teenager in the 90s and early 2000s and you don't like 10 Things I Hate About You, I don't really know what's going on. 12 Monkeys, a really cool sci-fi mystery thriller. This actually may need to go to my horror shelf, but for now, it's here. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Where would we be without Stanley Kubrick? About Time, which I guess is a romance film, which is not a genre you're going to see a lot in my collection, but there is a lot more going on here and there is time travel involved. Akira. I know last time I did this, a lot of people asked where all of my animated films are. I have Akira and I have one more animated film. I don't know what you're talking about. I have 2. Another one of my favorite films of all time, Amadeus. I need to make a video about this one at some point. A lot of you have asked for it, but yeah, obviously I have this one. American Beauty, a really interesting drama in my opinion, though some people think this is overrated. I don't really see it. I love this movie. Argo, saw it in theaters. This had me at the edge of my seat the entire time. Arrival, my favorite film of 2016. I'm not going to talk about it again. I've talked about it a lot. Atonement, a really good period drama with some romance based on a wonderful novel. The Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. Controversial opinion, I actually like the second one a little bit more than the first one. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and this fancy version of The Dark Knight Rises that I got on accident, but look, Bane, Batman. The Big Lebowski. Obviously, I need the dude in my collection, of course. Birdman, one of my favorite films of 2014. 2014 was such a great year for movies, and look, this slipcover opens up, and there's this awesome picture here. Black Swan, because everything is better when it's creepy. The 30th anniversary edition of Blade Runner. This is a really cool digibook edition and it has all these pictures inside and also all 3 cuts of the movie, which I've only seen the director's cut, but one of these days I need to check out all 3 and compare them. The Bourne Identity, The Bourne Supremacy, which is my favorite if you're curious, and The Bourne Ultimatum. There will be no Jason Bourne or The Bourne Legacy in my collection. We're just going to pretend that those 3 are the only ones in the series. Brooklyn, I love this movie. I've talked about it a ton. Casino, you may remember this from my last collection video, and guess what? I still haven't watched this. This is why I don't blind buy movies. Casino Royale, this one I've seen so many times. Such a great Bond film, and I love the design of this steelbook. Children of Men, one of the best post-apocalyptic films ever. Cinema Paradiso, this is a beautiful Italian film. Every film lover has to watch this and you are guaranteed to fall in love with this one. One of the best films ever made. Closer, a film with a wonderful cast and all of them are very flawed characters, which is something I love. I recently found out that a lot of people actually don't like this movie. Don't know what's up with that. I love this film. Collateral. This could also probably go with my horror thriller shelf, but whatever. This is an awesome film though. Dark City, a really cool science fiction film. Same director as The Crow. The Devil Wears Prada, the movie I watch when I don't feel well and it just makes me feel better for some reason. District 9, remember when everyone thought Neil Blomkamp was going to be the next big thing, but that didn't exactly work out? This is a really good film though. Django Unchained, you may already know I love my Tarantino, and look at this steelbook. I found this for like $6 at a used bookstore, and I think this is such a cool edition of it. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. This says extended edition. That's not really true. This is just before it was recut for film format. This is the 6-part television miniseries in their original form. Of course, I had to have Drive and Education, a very underrated coming-of-age film. Edward Scissorhands, one of my favorite films to watch around the winter holidays. Enemy. I think this is still my favorite Denis Villeneuve film. Such a mind-bending story. I love it. And once again, thank you to Spider Geek for sending me this fantastic looking steelbook. Equilibrium. I don't know why people hate this movie. I think this is a really cool dystopian action film, and it has the pre-Batman Christian Bale. Ex Machina. I can always use more smart sci-fi. Fargo. Obviously needed to have this one, though I may have ordered an anniversary edition steelbook that's coming out later this year, even though I already have this movie. We're just gonna move on. The Fifth Element. I freaking love the art on this steelbook, and obviously this movie is awesome. Fight Club. Don't think I need to say anything here. The Game. This was actually sent to me by one of my subscribers as well. Can't go wrong with a Fincher film unless we're talking Alien 3. Gattaca, a great but very underrated sci-fi film. Ghost in the Shell, my other animated film. See, I have animated movies. More David Fincher, Gone Girl. I've seen it twice this year already, and it just doesn't get old. Gone with the Wind, one of my favorite classics, such an epic film. The Grand Budapest Hotel, this movie is just so colorful and so cute and so weird. Had to have it. The Great Gatsby, kind of a controversial opinion. I know a lot of people didn't like this one, but I just love the style of it, even though all of these characters are terrible people. Guardians of the Galaxy, still my favorite Marvel movie. The Hateful Eight. Obviously, I am a Tarantino fangirl, and this steelbook just needed to join my collection. Her, a beautiful futuristic love story, kind of weird, but probably my favorite film of 2013. Hero, this movie is just stunning, and obviously I needed this steelbook. Highlander, which is a movie I saw so many times when I was a kid. The Holiday, another movie that a lot of people really dislike, but this is the kind of movie I like to watch when it's cold and snowy outside. House of Flying Daggers, another stunning martial arts film. The Illusionist. In Bruges, one of my recently discovered favorites. Incendie, another wonderful film from Denis Villeneuve. Inception, my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Indiana Jones, The Complete Adventures. I still haven't seen The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because you guys told me it's really, really bad, so I'm just sticking to the first three. Inglourious Bastards, my favorite Tarantino film. I've lost count how many times I've seen this one. Inside Llewyn Davis, my favorite Coen Brothers film. Interstellar, people love to hate on this one, but whatever, I really like it. And even though the ending is kind of iffy, that doesn't erase the entire film. The Island, a Michael Bay film that actually is not terrible and is quite entertaining. Jurassic Park, I don't think I need to say anything here. Kill Bill, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Hello Tarantino, again. Kingdom of Heaven, this is the director's cut. Kingsman, The Secret Service, really, really looking forward to the sequel this year, but I'm a little bit nervous because can it be this good? Can it? Labyrinth, because nostalgia. La La Land, one of my favorite films of last year that is endlessly rewatchable. Leon, the Professional, this is still my favorite Natalie Portman role, but the whole film is just so good. Looper, I have to make a video about this at some point because this is some awesome and smart futuristic action. Lord of War, very underrated, absolutely brilliant, and Nicolas Cage is great in this one. Love Actually, this is another one of my holiday favorites. The Mel Gibson Mad Max trilogy, and of course Mad Max Fury Road, because it's awesome. The Martian, which just keeps entertaining me over and over again. A pretty creepy steelbook of The Matrix. Memento, which is a film I'm making a video on soon, so we'll talk about it. Another one of my favorites, Midnight in Paris. Once again, time travel involved. Getting into some Tom Cruise movies, Minority Report, the Mission Impossible trilogy, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which I think is actually my favorite Mission Impossible film. I don't know how this franchise just keeps getting better. Moon, a very underwatched and underrated science fiction masterpiece in my opinion. A brilliant film. Never Let Me Go, for those days when I just really want to be depressed, apparently. I loved the novel, and this is actually a really good adaptation of it. The Nice Guys. Old Boy, one of my favorite films of all time. If you haven't seen the original Old Boy, you need to watch it ASAP. Pacific Rim, another Guillermo del Toro film in my collection. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is the movie I mention every time someone asks me what are some movies that I liked more than the book. I know people love this book, but it was just okay for me. But the movie, I absolutely loved. The first three Pirates of the Caribbean movies, realistically, the first one is the one that I love, and then the second and the third are entertaining but okay. But when I watched the first one, I just want to watch the whole trilogy. Predestination, another one of those mind-bending science fiction movies that are underrated and more people need to watch. The Prestige, The Princess Bride, back to Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, of course, and this awesome steelbook of Reservoir Dogs. The Revenant. Rosa, which is a Polish film set in 1945. This sounds like something that will be right up my alley. One of my wonderful subscribers sent this one to me. I haven't had a chance to watch this one yet, but I'm really looking forward to finally sitting down and watching this because I have a feeling I'm really going to love this one. Run Lola Run, another one of those wonderful gifts from my subscribers. I haven't seen it until someone actually sent this to me, and I have to say, this movie is a lot of fun and totally worth the hype. Rush, a really good Ron Howard film that more people need to watch. Schindler's List. I don't think I need to say anything. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is still my favorite Edgar Wright movie. This one is just so much fun. The Shawshank Redemption. This is one of those films that I grew up on, and it has just gotten better and better every time I've watched it. Skyfall. Once again, love these steelbooks for James Bond movies. I can never figure out if I like Skyfall or Casino Royale more because I love both of them. Snowpiercer, a really interesting post-apocalyptic film that takes place on the train, and look, you can see the train inside the slipcover. This is one of my most recent purchases because I just had to get this really interesting edition of The Social Network. Some Like It Hot, one of the best classic comedies. The J.J. Abrams Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, which apparently are controversial things to like, but you know what? Whatever. I really like those movies, and I really like those metal pack steelbooks. Not sure what to call them. I think they're just metal packs. Star Wars, the original trilogy, and of course, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Steve Jobs, one of my favorite films of 2015. Another metal pack and another J.J. Abrams film, Super 8. Maybe I just really like lens flares. The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I kind of wish I had a steelbook of the Terminator as well because these two don't match, but you know what? Whatever. And look at the back, the Terminator himself. There Will Be Blood, another one of my recently discovered favorites. Total Recall, the original. V for Vendetta. Vikings Season 1, Season 2, and this fancy edition of Season 3. Why is it fancy? Well, it's because it opens up and you can see this huge photo of the cast. I need to get Season 4. Wanted, which is a fun action film, and yes, I know you can't bend bullets, but I don't care. The director's cut of Watchmen, one of the best romantic comedies ever made, When Harry Met Sally. Whiplash, my favorite film of 2014. And last but not least, X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and thank you once again for getting me past that 20,000 subscriber milestone. Let me know if you'd like to see an updated bookshelf tour as well, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!